Hi, and welcome to my channel where I make dishes inspired by some of my favorite video game characters. Today's dish is inspired by Fauna from the Animal Crossing series. It's not controversial to say that pretty much every villager in Animal Crossing is adorable, lovable, and fun in their own way. I wouldn't be surprised at all to find out that every single villager is favorited by at least one person, because they're all so varied and intriguing. I think everyone has that one villager that they just share a special bond with and would never be willing to part with. And for me, that villager is Fauna. Fauna is the embodiment of all things cute, warm, and cozy. I love her mild-mannered demeanor and the joy she exhibits with even day-to-day tasks. Her outfits are so comfy and her house is so inviting and calming, almost giving me the feeling of a caring grandmother's house. Watching Fauna live her best life in your company and with the other villagers is such a treat, and she will always be my ride-or-die villager, which again is saying something for how adorable all of the characters are. I've talked a lot about how sweet and endearing Fauna is, so of course, an equally sweet and endearing dish will have to represent her. Her demeanor screams, or I guess kinda gently speaks, dessert to me, because it seems like she would love to dedicate a slow morning or afternoon to baking in her cute little kitchen. Now, Fauna is a cute little brown deer, and deer remind me of the holidays, and they are such majestic and warm animals I can't help but think of comforting and warming desserts to match. So, for my festive and sweet little dearie herself, we are making a brown butter gingerbread and cranberry cobbler that I'm confident she would adore. Here's what you'll need to make your own. For the cobbler, you'll need all-purpose flour, baking powder, salt, ground ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, ground cloves, whole milk at room temperature, salted butter, dark brown sugar, chopped pecans, boiling water, and vanilla ice cream for serving. For the sugared cranberries, you'll need fresh cranberries, granulated sugar, and water. We'll start the process by making the sugared cranberries. Pour 1 cup of cranberries into a heat-safe bowl, then set aside and head over to your stovetop. In a small saucepan, add in 3/4 cup of water and 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Whisk the two together and heat on medium heat until the sugar has dissolved and the water starts to come to a simmer. You'll then remove the pan from the heat and allow it to cool for 5 minutes at room temperature. Once 5 minutes have passed, you'll head back to your bowl of cranberries and pour the sugar water inside. Do a quick stir of the cranberries, then cover with plastic wrap and allow the cranberries to rest for 15 minutes. When 15 minutes are up, you'll line a baking sheet with parchment paper and transfer your cranberries onto the baking sheet to dry. Keep the cranberries uncovered and dry for about 1 hour. Once our hour has passed, we'll pour the cranberries into a medium bowl and toss with a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. We'll stir to make sure that all cranberries are completely coated in sugar, and then we'll return them back to the baking sheet. We'll let the cranberries dry for another hour uncovered like this, and then we'll switch gears over to our gingerbread cobbler. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and then butter a 9x13 baking dish. We can then grab a medium bowl and whisk together 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 1/4 teaspoons of cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground clove. Whisk until everything is well incorporated and smelling heavenly, and then set aside and head back to your stovetop. Put a 1/2 cup or 1 stick of salted butter into a small or medium saucepan and heat it on medium-high heat. Cook the butter while stirring constantly to make sure that the butter doesn't burn, but we do want to brown it. It should take about 4 to 5 minutes for the butter to become a beautiful deer brown, and then we'll immediately add it to an empty large bowl. To that large bowl, we'll also add in 1 cup of room temperature whole milk, a 1/2 cup of dark brown sugar, and a 1/4 cup of molasses. We'll whisk everything well until it's all combined. We'll bring this bowl over to our bowl of flour and spices. Add the bowl of flour to the bowl of butter and mix everything together until it's just combined and there are no large clumps of flour, but make sure not to overmix. Once combined, pour the cobbler batter into the prepared baking dish from earlier and make sure that the batter is evenly spread out. Separately, start heating 2 cups of water on your stovetop on high until it's boiling, and then prepare your pecan topping. In a small bowl, add 1 cup of chopped pecans and 1 cup of dark brown sugar. Mix generally and then sprinkle over the top of the gingerbread cobbler. Once your 2 cups of water are boiling, you'll carefully pour the water evenly over the top of the batter, and then you'll slide the baking dish into the oven. We'll bake at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes, or until the cobbler is golden brown and mostly set, and then we can remove it from the oven. Cobblers are best enjoyed warm, but let it cool slightly so it doesn't burn your mouth. Once you're ready to dig in, scoop out some of your cobbler onto a serving bowl or plate, and then top the cobbler with vanilla ice cream, some sugared cranberries, and any of the sauce that formed at the bottom of the dish. With that, we're ready to dig in. This dessert is so perfect for the holidays and is so comforting and inviting. When enjoying it warm, it blends so perfectly with the cold ice cream and tastes so decadent as the ice cream starts to melt. The spices inside are so intriguing, and when a cranberry pops in your mouth, there's this fun tartness that explodes and breaks up some of the richness. The texture from the cranberries and pecans is also a wonderful change from all of the softness in the dish, and to top it all off, the sauce at the bottom is so delicious and goes so perfectly with every bite. Fauna would be so excited if you gifted her this dessert, and she'd of course have to get the recipe from you to make it herself. She'd love to whip this up for all of the other villagers, and she'd especially love it during the festivities of the holidays. She'd bob her little head with enjoyment as she mixed up the bowl, and she'd smile as the warm smell sifted through her comforting home. She'd know that there are so many villagers you could be friends with, and she'd feel so blessed that she got to be one of them. Once she finally felt like she had perfected her take on the recipe, she'd love to stop by your house to share some and marvel at your decorating skills. Every day as one of your villagers would be cozy and wholesome, but she'd especially treasure the days of sharing this delicious treat with you. The recipe card is in the video description if you'd like a more quick and concise version to give it a try. Like if you want a bite, subscribe for more geeky treats, and comment what foods Fauna reminds you of. Thanks for following along.